Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am filming a chatty get ready with me. I'm gonna recreate this makeup look right here. A lot of you seem to have really liked this makeup look, so I'm going to show you guys how I did it. And today's topic is going to be a little bit on the heavier side from a question that I got about a month ago on Instagram stories. I did an Ask Me Anything one day, and one of the questions I got was, how do you cope with negative thoughts / people? And this question really made me think. So I'll just be kind of sharing my thoughts and experiences on that. But first, let's get to the makeup. I already did my brows. I'm gonna prime my face with the VDL Lumalayer Primer. A little bit of this goes a really long way because it really does illuminate your skin. Now I'm going to apply foundation. I'm using Fenty Beauty's Pro Filter Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. I'm in the shade 180. Okay, so negativity. Where do I even start? I feel like I've just learned a lot about negativity in this last couple of years, ever since I, started doing YouTube full time. But it was, not so long ago that I realized and accepted that I had been thinking so negatively about myself, about my experiences, about everything that I was doing out in LA, my career, my life choices, like everything. Like I was just beating myself up a lot and just being negative. And you guys, this is solely my experience. It doesn't apply to everyone, but this is what I've learned and what I've dealt with. So I don't want you guys to think that I know everything about this, because I for sure don't. And I want to stress that I'm still learning and growing, but I really do want to share where I am at now, and hopefully it'll be helpful to some of you. But yes, that was the first step, is just being self-aware of my thoughts and my emotions and when I am being negative on myself. Because if you're not aware of it and you're just doing it, it becomes your reality. And I didn't know that I was doing that to myself, that I was limiting myself by thinking so negatively. Okay, now I'm going to conceal some of my blemishes with this concealer from Apu. So once I realized I was being negative, the next thing I thought about was, what is causing my negative thoughts? Like, what do I believe to be true? And a lot of it stemmed from my insecurity of just not being good enough to be on YouTube or doing social media or being in the creative field. And I think once I identified the source of it all, it really helped me to work through those things, because I would talk to myself and tell myself well, why do I believe that? Why do I doubt myself? I just need to believe in myself more and not think that all the time, because everyone is unique. Everyone has their own story. And just because one person is being successful in this way or in this avenue, it doesn't mean that I have to follow that path. I need to believe that I can pave my own path and do this for myself. And it was just a lot of me affirming myself and being positive and telling myself stop and no to all these negative thoughts. Tackling negativity sounds so easy and straightforward, but it's honestly one of the hardest things I've ever had to learn to do. I'm just gonna prime really quickly with this Fenty Beauty eye primer. So to create that eye look, I actually used one palette, and it is this palette from Innisfree. They actually sent this to me, and the cool thing is you can remove these and replace it with a different eyeshadow color. So they have a whole bunch of colors, a bunch of finishes from shimmers to mattes that you can buy individually and create your own custom palette. And this isn't sponsored by them. I wish it were. So first I'm gonna take this shimmery white powder shade, and I think this is a highlighter, but I'm just gonna sweep it over the eyelids really quickly as a good base. Now I'm going to take this pink shimmery shade and just apply it all over the lid. And this pink shimmer shade is actually super pigmented. It really caught me by surprise. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Tackling and dealing with negativity, it is a lot of reaffirming for yourself, believing in yourself, and making a habit of just stopping your negative thoughts. And I really had to remember that all the defeating self-talk was so harmful and toxic to myself. And what I didn't know was that it radiated outside of me. So people could feel my negativity, they could feel how down I was, and it's not healthy for others either. And that was also a really hard reality to accept, was that I could potentially be hurting others or bringing down their energy when I had no intention to. So you really have to be aware of your thoughts. That's really all it is. And all it was for me was I just had to be aware of what I was thinking all the time. And I really had to think about whether or not it was helping me or hurting me. And it was just constantly telling myself to stop thinking. And it had to become a habit. And something that I've never talked about openly is that I actually started using the BetterHelp app. And if you don't know what BetterHelp is, it's an app that you can use to connect with a psychologist. You have to pay for, of course, but I started talking to someone, I think it was last September or last October. I was on the app for about, I want to say 6 months or something. I was talking to my counselor. You know, I would share with her my progress. I would tell her that like some days I feel great, but then other days I feel like I've reverted back to how I felt before. And she would say like, this is great that you're making progress, but don't forget that this is a habit that you have to build. And she would tell me like, it's okay, like this is something that you have to continually work on and you have to build upon it. Like you have to keep doing it until it becomes natural to you. And that is what I did unknowingly. Like every time I had a negative thought, I would try to stop myself and think something positive. And eventually it became so natural to me that I didn't even realize I was doing it. And that's kind of the point that you have to get to, is just to tell yourself over and over and over again until it becomes ingrained in you and it becomes natural to you and it becomes a part of you. And it's not easy, trust me. I'm also gonna take the pink color and apply a little bit to the under eye area. Just very little. Now I'm going to take this light brown color. I don't know the actual shade names. I thought it would say it on the back, but it doesn't. So I'm gonna find it and then link it down in the description box if you guys wanna go check it out. But I'm gonna take the light brown color into the outer corners of my eyes. Then I'm going to go over that with this dark brown color just to give it some more dimension. But another thing that also really helped me was to back it up with action. So I try to replace it with something positive and put some action behind it to at least know that I'm doing something about it and I'm not just wallowing and being sad and doing nothing about it. But I also do believe in feeling all of your emotions and going through them when you need to, because another thing that I haven't talked about that was really hard for me was the month of April. And I think I was just never really ready to talk about it or share with you guys because I was still kind of going through the emotions and healing pretty much. But back in April, that was the hardest time of my YouTube life and maybe the hardest time of my life ever. In April, after I came back from my Asia trip, I had a lot of guilt from having fun when I felt like I didn't deserve it, when I had so much work to do. I felt anxiety in many forms. Like I had social anxiety, so much like societal pressure and just negativity. And on top of that, I was extremely jet lagged. I wasn't getting good sleep. I love sleep. I love sleeping because I love to dream. Like who doesn't love sleep? But for the first time ever, I was afraid to go to bed. I was so afraid at the end of the night when I would have to lay down and I just knew I wouldn't be able to fall asleep and I had to just be in my thoughts, be in my feelings, and I was just constantly wrestling with myself of just trying to fall asleep, and it was really bad. And I still had a BetterHelp counselor at the time and I was describing these symptoms to her and she was saying like, you know, you're describing symptoms of depression and if it doesn't get any better, you should go see a doctor. And that like really shook me. I don't take depression lightly. It kind of runs in my family, and I always told myself growing up, like, I'm not gonna put myself in that place. I found myself in that place even if I didn't want to. So for all of April, I just let myself feel those emotions. And when I say I let myself, I don't know if I really had a choice because I would wake up and just feel like I couldn't do anything that day. And I didn't do anything. I just let myself be sad and cry and feel everything. And again, I say I let myself, but did I really even have a choice? Because sometimes like you can't get yourself out of that. Sometimes it's just really hard. And for me, it just got to a certain point where I didn't want to do that anymore. Like I was tired of feeling sad and hurt and pained. I think when the time is right and when you feel like you're ready to be better for yourself, you will do that. And sometimes just because someone tells you like you need to stop doing this, you need to start thinking this way and that way, so many people would tell me that. But until you're ready to accept that and you're ready to be better for yourself, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. I'm gonna take this green shadow color. It's very shimmery and I'm gonna apply it into the lower lash line. So the second half of the question, how to deal with negative people. people. Having been that negative person and now kind of recognizing and seeing it in others, I don't want it to be like negative people. Like at one point or another, I think everyone has some form of like a negative thought or a negative feeling. So I don't want to classify people as like, this is a negative person. I think it's all a scale and it's all relative, and maybe in that moment they're going through a hard time. We're all going through something. You can't take that personally. Sometimes people just kind of need their moment to be in that space, and they themselves need to pull themselves out. Now I'm going to tightline with brown liner. This is from Marc Jacobs, and this is in the color Earthquake. It's just like a dark brown color. I'm gonna tightline and then also smudge it a little bit at the outer corners, and then I'm gonna use a brush to do a really soft wing. And then I'm gonna apply some lashes. I'm gonna use the Ardell 120 Wispies. Again, in terms of dealing with negativity in others, there are two things that I really wanna say. It's first, just being understanding that maybe they're going through a hard time and they just don't know how to cope, and this is them coping. Just being understanding of that like means so much. I try to be understanding in return to other people because you just don't know what they're going through, and I don't think it's anything personal. And the second thing I wanna say is, as a friend, you have to kind of ask yourself and evaluate yourself, like, can I support this person? Am I myself in a good mental state to be there for this person while they're going through this difficult time? If you're not, that's totally okay, because again, you're probably going through your own things too. And I think it's totally okay if you need some space for yourself also. And I think there is such a stigma when you tell someone that you need space. And what I've learned in the past couple of months is that it's like, no, space is healthy, space is good, and no one should be taking it personally. But I think the most important thing is being patient and being understanding and being there for them the best way that you can be, and not pressuring yourself to feel responsible for that. Because for me, it's like I just needed my own time to come to the conclusion that I do want to get better for myself. And as a friend, I think allowing someone the space and the time to do that is really important. You can still be a good friend but need your space. And hopefully your friend in return will be understanding of that. That is really hard. It is really hard though, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it because it's such sensitive, like tricky waters to tread. Like if you're in a negative space, you don't want to hear that like someone doesn't want to be around you. Like, of course not. I believe if it's meant to be, it'll all work out in the end. I think for me, moving past the month of April and learning how to be in a better space, I really like firmly held on to that belief and that faith that like, this is so fucking hard right now, but I know in the end it'll all work out. What's meant to be will be, and what's meant to happen will happen. And that is the firm faith that I held on to. If nothing else is true, the one thing I believe is that everything happens for a reason. Okay, I finally put the lashes on, and now I'm adding more green to the center of the lower lash line. That's where I want it to pop the most. I love how this is such a like youthful, colorful makeup look, and then we're talking about some heavy ass shit. Now I'm gonna move on to contour. I'm gonna contour with the Tarte Park Avenue Princess thingy. I think it's really important to remember that you have to be whole yourself before you can give to others, and that is something that I've had to learn so badly, because I would always put my family first, I would always put my friends first. I had a hard time saying no, and I realized I was giving bits and pieces away of myself to all these people, and at the end of the day, I had nothing to give back to myself. I felt so lost and empty, and I didn't know who I was. Yes, if you see your friend thinking negatively, stop and be understanding and be patient, and then reflect on yourself and think like, how are you? Because I think that's really important too. Now I'm going to apply some blush. This is from Tarte. This is in the shade Party. Now I'm highlighting with this. This is from Kaja. This is their Mochi Glow in Luna, and I really like it because it looks really natural. And then for lip color, I'm using this one from Hourglass. This is their Girl Stilo in Idealist. It's just a very nude, neutral color. And that's it for the makeup look. A mentality that's always helped me is that I'm just a human being. I'm just one soul trying to make the best of this world. And it's not gonna be easy. It's something that I have to work at every single day. Even now, this is gonna sound so stupid and so obvious, but you really can't let your negative thoughts have control over you. You control your thoughts. You know, if you have all these negative thoughts and you think all these negative, bad, sad things about yourself, you think the absolute worst of yourself, why can't you think the absolute best of yourself? I know everyone's situation is different. It's just me thinking out loud and sharing my thoughts with you. And that is just kind of what I've concluded at. Moving past negative thinking is really hard. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm just sitting here spewing a bunch of shit and like, I'm a super happy person now. Like, that's not true. Like, I still have my days where I feel really sad and I don't know why. I'm just in a mood. And it's okay to have those moments. Like, no one's gonna be completely happy all the freaking time. Like, it's okay to have those moments. Those moments are inevitable. You just have to keep working at it, like keep going, thinking positive thoughts, reaffirming yourself, believing in yourself, loving yourself, all of those things. I think it's super important to feel every spectrum of emotions and letting yourself really feel that. April was such a shitty time for me. I don't think I will ever forget that month, but I am so appreciative of that moment and all the things that I felt, because without knowing how fucking hard it was then, I wouldn't know how to appreciate how happy I am now and how much I've grown and how much I've learned. Everything happens for a reason. Like, I needed to feel how I felt in April so I could recognize that I was being super negative and that I needed to get better for myself. That's another thing, like, get better for yourself, you, at your own time. And it doesn't freaking matter if you are on your knees crawling, if you're walking, jogging, running, whatever. It is your own pace. Okay, I think that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this get ready with me and learning how to do this makeup look, among other things. I will link all the products that I used down below. If you have any insight or experiences to share on negativity, please feel free to share your thoughts. Like, it could really help someone out there. Thank you so much for listening to me and my story. Like, little old me, like, yeah. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry if this was a long one, but I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!